So now let's take a look at bounded types using generics in Java. So one of the problems we had with our class, you can see in our print using cartridge in our printer, we had a type T and a type U that we would use it. But both of these types were unbounded, which means that we could have passed any type in there. And you can see that when we use it, our print using cartridge, we are able to pass in a number, we are able to pass in a printer, we are able to basically pass in anything we wanted, and it didn't complain. We could use that type just like we could use a print cartridge. And because of that, we are only able to call the toString method on our cartridge because we basically had to be reduced to the lowest common denominator. Since any type could be passed in, we could only use methods that were available on every type. And so the only method that really made sense was toString. So we were kind of restricted to use toString here. So with the bounded types, we can actually restrict the types that can be used, and we can restrict them down to a set of types based on a class or an interface. So we can say that in order for you to be able to substitute the type T for printer, you have to either implement the cartridge interface or extend some other class. And the way that we do that is we use a keyword called extends, and we use it when we declare our type. So I went ahead and I created an iCartridge interface here, and on this iCartridge interface I created a method called getFairPercentage. And all classes that want to implement that interface will have to implement that method. So I made our black and white cartridge implement getFairPercentage, and it's just going to return a hard-coded value of 50%. And it did the same thing with the color cartridge. I created the getFairPercentage, and it's going to return 97%. And what we are going to do now is we are going to restrict the type in our printer class using this extends so that it has to be of type iCartridge. So the only thing that you are going to be able to substitute in there for type is something that implements iCartridge, and we change this in our method as well. We are going to make it so that our print using cartridge requires or is bounded by the type iCartridge. And this is going to make it so that everything that can be passed in here have to be implementing that type iCartridge. And this is going to make it so that everything that can be passed in here have to be implementing that type iCartridge. Now you can see that 3 is no longer valid because 3, that integer, does not implement iCartridge because that's this type mismatch. So this bounded typing in generics is useful for restricting down the set of types that can be used. So now we will change this to new black and white cartridge, or we could change this to new color cartridge, and either one will work fine. The other that we will be able to do here now is we don't have to just call toString, since we have restricted this to adjust things that implement iCartridge. We can actually look here and we can see that we can actually use any members that are available on iCartridge. So we have this getFairPercentage. So now because we have used this bounded type, because we have restricted it, and we know that whatever gets passed and whatever type is there is going to extend iCartridge, we can actually call this getFairPercentage method that exists on iCartridge or any methods that exist on iCartridge. So this is another use of using the bounded types. So let's go ahead and see how this will work now that we have changed this so that we are going to actually call this getFairPercentage printer.print, and we will run this now. And you can see it's now saying there is 50% because it was able to use that method on the interface. We are now calling cartridge getFairPercentage, and we are printing that out. So that's the basic usage of bounded types. And it's really useful when you want to restrict down the type and you want to be able to actually do something with kind of interface or a superclass that has some methods on there that you want to be able to use inside of your generic type.